Okay guys, so we've got a really fun one here. Today we're going to be taking a look at this really cool 6-inch bench vise from the Vevor company. Now I want to give a big shout out and a huge thanks to the good folks at Vevor for sending this tool out to me for me to test and review for you guys today. So I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and it's going to be a great addition to my garage, and I think it would be a good addition to your garage as well. So far I'm very impressed, and I think it's going to work out great. Okay, so basically when you order this tool, this is what shows up at the door. The 6-inch bench vise, all completely assembled, ready to go. It comes with a small instruction booklet, 4 pretty nice quality nuts and bolts for installing into a workbench, a detailed schematic on paper so you can use to lay out your drill holes for your mounting assembly. And what's really cool is it comes with these 2 magnetic soft guard rubber mounts with really cool pipe openings in it, so you can mount soft brass and copper piping and whatnot in it and do your work with it without scratching them up. So that's everything that comes in the kit. It showed up just a couple days after I ordered it. There was no damage to any to the box or to the product. It showed up as advertised with everything they said it would come with, and I was very impressed with the whole transaction. Now, in my opinion, the bench vise is one of the most important tools you can have in your garage. I'm not a professional mechanic or a fabricator. I'm just a handy guy with a home garage. I work on cars and motorcycles and do home repair work and remodeling and projects and whatnot. And especially the older I get, I don't just muscle things around anymore and hold things and hope that I can wrench on them and cut them over my knee like I was a kid. I use leverage and vise power anytime I can, and I love having a good bench vise around. Now, as you probably noticed in most of my videos on this rolling bench that I use for my displays and my testing for these videos, I do have a bench vise I've had for a couple of years, this Irwin 5-inch over here, and I love it. I think it's great. I take care of it and it takes care of me, just like this one. They're both good price point tools, and you need to understand the limitations of these price point tools. As long as you take care of them, they will take care of you. They are they're not made to be hit with sledgehammers or to take big pipes and cranked on and put through their paces. If you need an industrial bench vise for everyday heavy duty use or manufacturing, this is probably not what you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, it's high quality, durable, powder coated cast tool, and it will take some beating. It's got an anvil and it's made to be beat on a little bit, but as long as you work within the limitations of what you know it's for, it's going to last forever, realistically. I don't see any reason why this should wear out. So there will be a link in the description. I do believe that it might be worth checking out, especially at the price point they're offering this at. I think it's a pretty good deal. As with most of the Vevor tools that I've come across and dealt with, they go out of their way to offer a good, usable, good quality tool for a really decent price to get you started into the world of collecting tools, as I am. So, I think that's about it. Why don't you give me just a couple minutes to get it mounted up in its final resting position, which will be up here on my my standing height workbench that I have behind me. It's going to live there and kind of work as my precision type lightweight assembly, disassembly kind of work, and we'll get going from there. Okay guys, so I got this thing all successfully mounted on the bench and went in great. The bolts they sent and nuts were really good quality. The drill pattern worked out great, and it mounted right where I wanted it, and it's going to be really, really nice and useful and handy in this location. So one of the first things I want you to notice is the fact that it swivels freely, 360 degrees I do believe. But what's really cool is that it's got 2 releases, one on each side. And in lower price point vises, and some of the really cheap ones and the smaller ones and the kind of the ones you don't want to play with as much, they only have 1 of these release handles. And this one has 2. So I just released that off on both sides, and it nicely rotates around. But what's even better is it is 360 degrees. So no matter what I'm working on, how I want to work on it, that is an incredibly useful piece of kit. So very happy with that. Let me get that tightened back down, and she's tight again. Really cool, very nice. So what I've got here is just a few little test subjects and scenarios to get this thing kind of put through its paces, so we can see, you know, is it going to do what we need it to do. So the first thing I want to do is pound on it a little bit. So again, like I was saying, you know, you don't want to throw a sledgehammer on this thing. You don't want to, you know, expect it to hold up the world for you or take a massive amount of abuse, but it should be able to take a little bit of pounding. So what I've got here is, I hope you can see that, is a little piece of bracket that is all mangled up and bent from a previous thing I was working on. So I just want to see if I can manipulate it and bend it out a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it in here and see if I can get it kind of straighter. So I'll kind of put it at the first bend and take my small mallet and kind of shape it a little bit. Okay, so far so good. Let's take it and turn it around. See if I can get this lower bend out of this, tighten it down. Pretty good. It's looking like it's straighter already. I'm kind of go halfway down this curve here. Crank it down, hammer it. Whoa, Dale Jarrett fell down. Sorry, buddy. This is a hammering table now, bud. Gotta get used to it. Okay, so I have definitely manipulated it. Now let's try to use this anvil on the back and see if we can maybe flatten it out a little bit more. I'll just set it down here and hold it and see if I can't manipulate it flat. Perfect. Good. Just keep flipping it around. And look at that. Pretty much flattened out. You know, you could take body hammers and make it as flat as you needed to, or let's say now I have a flat one and I need to put a 90 into it. I can set it into where I need, clamp it down, and then now I've got a 90-degree bracket. So, okay, looks good. Put a couple little marks in it, what you want. Those means you're using it. Test number 1, success. It takes some pounding, and we're still nice and mounted, and hasn't broken, it hasn't cracked, hasn't fallen apart. Looking good. The next thing I've got is kind of a torque issue. This is like a heavy-duty automotive bolt that it's got a lock nut on top of it, and it's entirely too hard for me to turn by hand. I can't get it off. So if I wanted to get this off, you know, back in the day I would take, you know, two wrenches and try to in my hand do this bit, you know, but you know, the older you get, the smarter you get, and you want to use leverage. So I'm just going to stick this into the bench vise, put it on the flat side of the hex, crank it down, and if I've got the appropriate sized, I do, right here, end wrench, I can now tighten it down or crank on it. If I want to remove it, I can crank it down more, pull it off, and there you go. Ooh, it's hot. Wow. And you can see how shiny half those threads are. That's how tight that thing was on there. That thing has got heat generated. It's really hot. So there's no way I was getting that off without a bench vise. That was perfect. So test number 2. Awesome. The next thing I want to show is how cool these protective soft grips are. Magnetic to boot. And I suppose if you ripped one or got them worn out, you could replace them. These are super, super neat. I don't have this on any of my other vise equipment. And you can see they've got grooves in them that go horizontal and vertical and 45 degrees. So they just snap into place and hold themselves through these two magnets. And look how cool this is. I can take cylindrical stock, let's say dowels. Let's say I wanted to work with some dowels, but I don't want to get them scratched up or beat up or dented or indented or damaged. So this small one here, I could stick it in here vertically. There's a little vertical shaft. It'll suck right around it, nice and tight, and it's in there nice. And I could now cut it flush or paint it or grind on it or polish it, whatever it is. If it's a piece of aluminum, whatever it is I'm doing. This is absolutely perfect. It doesn't come out, and I didn't even put that much pressure on it because it really sucks around it with that soft grip. I also have a 45-degree one right here. I can stick the same dowel in here. And, oh, it's a little too big for that. Okay, but what I do have is this vertical or horizontal that goes across the whole width. And look at that. Nice. I didn't have to put hardly any pressure on it, and I cannot move this out of here. It is in here really, really nicely. Again, this could be a nice piece of copper or brass or something that, or wood. And it's in here really nice, no damage. Super cool. I've got a bigger dowel here, and I've got a nice big vertical one right here that I can grab. They're giving you different sizes so you can play around. Again, almost no pressure, and I cannot move that any direction, but now I have a nice surface that I can sand it or I can cut it, whatever I need to do. Really cool. This is going to be extremely handy. Very, very nice. So also, on the underside, you've got notch out fittings here for piping. So if you've got a piece of pipe that needs to be held while you thread it or cut it or whatever, you've got cylindrical stock that you don't mind getting scratched up or whatever, it'll house that as well. So very, very cool. Let's see here. I think that, and then here's another thing that here's what I do with these a lot. Let's say I've got this bolt is a nice carriage bolt, but I don't want the threads. I just want the bolt head and the shaft. I want to cut these threads off. So this is a good test of the press strengths of this, because I can't press the shaft, I can only press the head. So I'll go in here horizontally and I can press that against the hex nice and tight, really get down on it so it holds it very good. And then I can get a basic 90-degree angle cutoff saw, plug it in, put on my safety glasses, always guys, because then you look cool. And I'm going to cut this off. Hold your ears. Just like that. Didn't even move, right? Got this fairly hot piece of thread, and this pipe, or this carriage bolt did not even attempt to move. Now, and you can see I cut off the threads. This is now a dowel, or a pin for all intents and purposes. I could drill a hole in it and put a cotter pin in it, and it could hold something. I don't know. Who knows? But I open this up and look in here. I clamped down on that carriage bolt fairly heavily, and I honestly don't see any marks in here where that happened. So these grips in here, they're holding up pretty nice. I'm pretty impressed. They also have 2 bolts in each one of them, so that tells me they're replaceable. So if you wanted a different style on there, you could order a different style as long as they have the same width, mounting width of the holes, mounting holes. You could throw different ones on there, or find replacements for these and replace them if you ended up cracking one or breaking one or just wearing them out. So that's pretty cool, man. I think this is, I don't know what else you would generally do with a bench vise, but that does it. I'm super impressed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this is a great tool, especially for the price point that they're offering this at. There will be a link in the description. I encourage you to check it out if you're in the market for a bench vise and you don't need one that you can throw a sledgehammer at. This is a really good option. This is going to last as long as I take care of it. I take care of it, it'll take care of me. And I think I'm going to build and disassemble a lot of things up here with this. I'm just really excited about having it. It's going to make a great addition to my garage, and I think it would make a great addition to yours as well. So I think that's going to do it for today. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.